everyone, and welcome once again to another exciting commentary podcast. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Dan.
And today, Dan and I are going to do something completely unexpected and out of left field. Today, Dan and I are going to do a commentary podcast on Super Mario Brothers, the movie. This was Dan's idea, and I was like, how did I not think to do a commentary on this movie? This is going to be quite amusing. So, Super Mario Brothers movie starring Bob Hoskins with John Leguizamo. John Leguizamo, who has played a couple of really important, iconic figures in the comic and video game department. He was both Luigi and he was Clown and Spawn. Really, just important, iconic characters.
I love Luigi. He's my favorite Mario character.
He's definitely more iconic than Clown.
Yes, definitely.
This is amusing because Dan is eventually going to do a commentary with me on the Spawn movie, and he is going to, because Dan is one of the co-creators of Spawn here, and has never seen that movie, and I'm going to make him watch it cold. That's one of the next things we're going to do. Here after a while, we're going to do that. And John Leguizamo's Clown in that, and it's going to be really funny because we're doing this, so that's really amusing. If you have never listened to one of these with us before, what you want to do, if you want to watch the movie with us, is you want to rig up your DVD or your Blu-ray, however you want to watch it, get it to timestamp 0, get ready to press play when I say now. You can sync it up with the audio track and watch it along with us as we watch and talk about the movie. For those of you that want to listen to this more as a podcast in your car, or while you're jogging, or while you're cooking hot dogs, you can you can just listen to it without watching the movie, and we will of course do our level best to provide as much context as humanly possible. Dan, would you like to do any preamble on this movie before we get started?
I don't think there's anything I need to say other than I was a big Mario fan as a kid. For me, like, Marvel and Nintendo were the two big things of my childhood. I haven't really talked about Nintendo a ton on the channel, I suppose, because we're so into the comic book thing, but I'm a huge Nintendo fan. And this is a movie I used to rent and watch a lot when I was a kid. So it was actually one of my favorite movies as a kid. And it's pretty terrible, but it's fun to watch.
that should have been an NES game. Rent and watch.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. We're going to go ahead and get started on it right now without any further ado. Everybody, please press play right now.
I would also like to note, too, that this movie came out 2 days before I was born. It came out on May 28th, 1993, and I was born on the 30th of 93. So this movie is 2 days older than I.
You are such a youngin', man. I was 10 years old. Just about to turn 10 years old.
Did you see this in the theater when it came out?
I didn't.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I didn't. Somehow I didn't. I think I started playing video games right around this time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would make sense. 10 years old, that's old enough to start playing games. I don't think I would have been able to, do anything in the Mario games, because those are pretty challenging before 10 years old,
I think when I was 10, I remember having a summer where I did mostly just played video games. So, the title screen that we just saw with the Mario theme under it is the most like Mario this ever feels. It's like you're really gearing up for it. You're like, yeah, it's the Mario theme, and then that's not in any way incorporated into the soundtrack, and it has a lot of, all the way through this movie, there's all kinds of things that are making references to Mario games and are kind of sort of representing things, but it never full tilt really feels like Mario, with some exceptions.
Right, exactly. I mean, I think they go really literal with the dinosaur thing with Yoshi and Bowser and the Koopas and stuff.
I guess that wasn't even a title screen at the beginning.
Yeah.
It was just...
And it kind of looked like a video game cutscene at the beginning there with all the dinosaurs and stuff. But this game... or I called it a video game. It
Let's do
ironically
commentary on someone else playing a
yeah.
video game, Dan.
It ironically reminds me of I don't know if you've ever played the Star Fox game, Star Fox Adventures,
Oh yeah.
but it's a game that's kind of like Zelda, and you go to this place called Dinosaur Planet. Like the aesthetics of this movie remind me of that quite a bit, actually.
Wow,
It's kind of
really? I
interesting.
haven't played that.
Yeah,
You mentioned Star Fox. I've played that, but I've never played Adventure.
I like Star Fox Adventures. A lot of people don't like it because it's not in ships and stuff, but I like Zelda a lot, and it's similar to that. And Rareware made it. The people who made the Donkey Kong Country games, so it's a pretty quality game.
I'll have to give that a try at some point then.
It's pretty fun. Yeah.
Yeah, did you ever think you'd see a nun in a Mario movie?
Right? And we have the music here by Alan Silvestri of Avengers fame. He did the score for Avengers. He's come a long way since this movie, huh?
Yeah, he moved on up, didn't he?
And the score for
Now,
Avengers is fantastic. I don't remember anything about the score for this, but maybe it's great.
I will say that there is no reason you couldn't have made a Mario movie that was a classic. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, there's really no reason you couldn't have made something like really clever and creative and just really fun, over the top, silly. And this has elements of what you'd want, right? There are bits of that where you're like, oh wow, that was almost inspired. Why didn't you go more in that direction? But you get somebody like Bob Hoskins involved in this, and because of Roger Rabbit, like he looks like uh the guy that ought to play Mario.
Oh yeah.
It makes perfect sense. But then you look at something like Roger Rabbit, and he's already got this credibility of making this presumed kids movie a huge classic. And so you put his name on this, and it's like, yeah, maybe this could be like that. No.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just laughing here at like nuns discovering a dinosaur egg. Like that's the most hilarious thing ever.
I completely agree with you that they just didn't have to go so literal. I mean, it is good. It is cool that we're in another dimension.
Yeah.
That is what the Brothers games are. And I'm going to say that I always say this. I'm not a huge stickler for source material. If you stray from source material, make it really good. But the thing is, the Mario games are not story-driven games.
No,
So
they're
you
not.
can do anything you want with this, and as long as it's quality and super fun, and kind of feels like a Mario game and uses the trappings, I don't think anybody's really going to care what you do. They're plumbers, and you got dinosaurs, and you got Koopa, and I mean, all the stuff's there that ought to be there, kind of.
Right. It's kind of like the newest Ninja Turtles movie. um,
It's like you said that the new Ninja Turtles movie was like looking at a Wikipedia page. This is just like that, isn't it?
yes, it is. And of all the
Yin Yang.
yes, and I never really realized that before. But one of the things that I always thought about the Nintendo franchises, I would have thought that they would have went to Metroid or Zelda first if they were to make a movie, because those are a little bit more story driven, and those worlds are kind of lend themselves to being live action adaptations. One being a sci-fi kind of thing, one being a fantasy thing. But Mario's obviously the most popular out of all of them, so I can see why they chose this. Mario kind of put gaming on the map after the crash in the 70s.
I'm going to say, early '80s,
Yeah,
but I'm gonna like '82. I think was the crash. But I'm gonna make the case that this got made partly because of the popularity of Ninja Turtles.
you think so? Interesting.
Yeah, definitely. It's not the same thing, obviously, but some of the trappings are kind of similar. They even kind of make a big deal out of pizza in places in this, if memory serves. I kind of get the sense that it's like, let's go to whatever the big huge thing is the kids are doing now and try to make a live action movie out of it. And I think that's why that there are pieces of this that seem like it kind of wants to be sort of gritty. Like not really, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We're like I think if you put this up against the 1990 Ninja Turtle movie, it looks aesthetically like that movie more than it does anything else.
That's an interesting comparison. I can kind of see what you're saying. Like it's kind of got that independent kind of feel when you watch the movie.
Which is weird because it was a bigger project than that. I mean,
Yeah.
they spent a lot of money on it, and it was a major studio. It wasn't a B movie kind of thing, like Ninja Turtles was. So that's really interesting. But I think that movie. I might be overstating things. I think that movie influenced this
Mhm.
in some capacity.
Well, I mean, you've got the anthropomorphic reptile thing going on, so I can kind of see that. Yeah. Um, One of the things I really loved about this movie as a kid was just seeing Luigi as the main character of a Mario thing, because he's always plays second fiddle to Mario in everything, and he's my favorite Mario character. So I liked that he was the one that got the love story and was kind of the main protagonist of the movie in a lot of ways.
And I can see as a kid kind of enjoying that. I also would assume just based on the fact that Luigi's really skinny in this and Mario's a little bigger that he probably does jump higher.
Yes, that's
Uh,
true.
but but just looking at it now as a just on a story level, not being a kid,
Mhm.
Mario really is just along for the ride in this, and it's kind of irritating,
Yes, it is.
right?
Um,
That's the biggest thing I complained about in my rewind on it. Was well one of them. I mean, there's a lot of weirdness in this movie. I think that Luigi and the princess in this have chemistry.
I think
I
so too.
actually like their love story. I think it works okay. I don't think it, and I haven't seen this in a while, so like all of my criticism things are gonna finally come back to me as we go along. But if memory serves, I think the deal with them was it was a little typical, but I liked them together. And it was the one thing that really kind of worked, and isn't it unusual for a movie like this? The one thing that's kind of working
Right.
pretty well is the romance, which usually is an obligatory thing that's just shoved into stuff.
And one of the things that I noticed about this movie, I don't know if you've ever seen any of the Super Mario Brothers cartoons, like
Oh
the
yeah,
Mario Brothers Super Show or Super
yeah.
Mario Brothers 3 Adventures, but I think they take a lot of things from that show, and it's heavily influenced by that as well, especially the heavy emphasis on the Italianness of the Mario Brothers, because in the games, like they're Italian and plumbers, but it's because the games aren't really all that story driven, it's not a huge part of who the characters are.
Well, there's no talking or anything in it, so
Right,
yeah, it can't be. It's kind of just this goofy juxtaposition.
right. Um,
But even if now I agree with you totally, but even if those cartoons hadn't existed, don't you think going to live action and not really using a lot of stuff from the games and kind of making it up as they went along, that Italian thing would have still been there,
oh,
I bet.
agreed, yeah. But you can see like from the cartoons, they would always make puns about like, lasagna and meatballs and stuff. Like
Yep.
that definitely makes its way into here in some capacity at least.
There's a lot of Three Stooges kind of slapstick comedy in this. A lot of like kind of bottom of the barrel type humor. And just right out the gate, you can tell like they're leaning on things like that because they know they don't have a script,
Right.
and that's kind of sad. Famously, nobody who worked on this movie had a good time with it.
Yeah, I
Everybody was apparently at each other's throats the whole time, and they were really teetering on the edge, not even really knowing what they were making. From what I've read.
I heard that the script was rewritten like weeks before they even started filming, and that Bob Hoskins was drunk on the set sometimes. So yeah, this was a very troubled movie, even right out the gate.
Rewritten weeks before the release. Wow, so it's exactly like the new Ninja Turtles movie.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Or did I say release or when they started filming? That's what I
Oh,
meant.
I don't remember
Okay,
what you
so
said. I was
they rewrote it
I was
weeks
working
before they
on
started
formulating
filming.
my joking response. I also think that the Mario Brothers in this have wonderful chemistry. I think that like these two and rapport. I think that these two are totally the right casting choice.
Mm,
Isn't it so much more disappointing when you got a movie where certain things are really working and then the crux of it isn't there? The problem with this movie is the script. The production values are fine.
hmm
The cast is mostly great, and a lot of it's just lack of creativity and there is creativity in it, and I'll point out stuff I like, but like overall, isn't it just there wasn't a vision here, and it kind of is all over the place.
And it's really unfortunate too, because like this is the thing that um, kind of scared Nintendo away from letting anyone else license their properties, and it hurt them for a long time as a company. Like they hadn't let any third-party company touch their properties, and they're finally now starting to let other companies work with their properties. Like they let another company make a Metroid game. They're someone else is making a spin-off of the Zelda franchise, coming out for the Wii U soon. It's called Hyrule Warriors. But for a long time, they were afraid of letting anyone else touch these properties because this just left such a stale taste in their mouth of this relationship working with another company.
And that's really sad because they took a risk by doing it in the first
They
place, and
did.
it was really cool of them to try it. And it's just too bad that it didn't work. But this we're talking kind again. I don't want to overstate it, but we're talking kind of pioneering stuff here. We hadn't had video game movies yet.
No.
That wasn't a thing, and so you have to give it. I'm not saying you have to give it a lot of leeway. If the movie doesn't work, the movie doesn't work. It doesn't matter what it's based on. You know what I mean? But um, you have to at least give them credit for trying to base something on an entire medium that had never been done before, to my recollection. Like, had anybody made a live action movie based on a video game prior to
Not
this?
that I know of, but I haven't seen every video game based movie, to be honest with you.
I'm not saying there had never been a movie about video games. You know, you had the Wizard and stuff, but I
Right.
mean, but as far as like adapting a video game to a story, to a film with a story, I don't think it had really been done. And it makes a lot of sense, right? Because movies or video games were not story driven back then, for the most
Oh,
part.
definitely not. Um,
Most of them. RPG is sure, but other than that,
right, but most Nintendo games, like you had, text blurbs at some point during the games, and that was like, the basic premise and go explore the world that you've been dropped into.
yeah, that was. I mean, that kind of stuff. Just having any sort of story at all, right, is just was just a matter. And this is what I generally tend to prefer. Was just a matter of giving you some kind of context for, yeah, like you said, that world that you're in. And now we have these like really expansive, elaborate games with hours and hours and hours of story. And I never thought I'd see the day when I could see video games as mostly a story-driven medium, but we're kind of there now. It's really interesting how quickly it evolved into that. And you have that thing where video games want to be movies and movies want to be video games.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, like the Mario like main series hasn't even to this day really like wet its feet in the really story-driven kind of video games, but there's like Mario RPGs that like do things with the characters and stuff that are really cool.
Those are great. And you know what? I'm not an RPG guy. I played one of the Mario and Luigi games on DS and thought it was just
Oh,
fantastic.
they're
Really
great.
enjoyed it.
Yeah. And of course, Zelda and Metroid have evolved over the years, so they're kind of story driven now. Especially the last Zelda game, Skyward Sword, was really story driven. It's cool to see Nintendo take this stuff that you didn't really have a story for before and do something with it. And this, I suppose, was the first attempt at taking one of their properties and doing something with it other than the initial context, which is interesting to think about.
Yeah, and again, you got to give them some credit for trying. I guess where I come down on all of that is, was this really that hard of a movie to make? I mean, I wasn't there. It's really easy for me to say that, but like, I don't know, just get creative with it. And that's the problem with so many of these things is they try to find a formula. You know, this is another really typical artifact movie where we throw away all the characterization for the most part, just like kind of hinge on just everybody's after this thing. And I mean, like, like Guardians was an artifact plot, but like through everybody trying to get this artifact, you learn about these characters, and
Right.
they grew and they morphed and they turned into and they became friends. This isn't like that.
No.
This really is that formula. Why do we have to find a formula? This is one of those cases where, in trying to be accessible to everybody, it was accessible to nobody.
Right, and I think one of the things they got right here, at least in the script wise, um, we had talked about the script being a little incompetent, and I think it is on the whole, but one of the things I like about it is the characterizations we saw in this scene here, where like Mario in the games is famously kind of a ladies' man, and he gets every princess, he saves all of them, and Luigi kind of gets sloppy seconds. Like Daisy was originally in love with Mario in the games, and he saved her and stuff, and then she became Luigi's girl later on, and he's kind of the shy, apprehensive one. They've got this going on here. Like we saw Mario leave that place with a girl, and the first thing Luigi tries to do in this scene when he's walking with her is apologize, and he's kind of awkward about it. I don't know. At least they got the basic, characterizations that are there in the games right, I suppose. What little is
But
there?
again, I don't. But again, I don't know how important that. was really, right?
No, I mean
Like
it's not all that important, but I can appreciate at least someone has reverence for the material and has at least played the games to some degree, right?
that's yeah, no, that's absolutely a good point. I don't know, it just seems to me like if you look at that stuff, and you really get into it and you get excited about it, you go, wow, there's like so much material to mine for. You know, that is so rich.
Right.
I feel the same way about it as I do Power Rangers, where I'm like, you know, you got the, and that's why I'm kind of excited that somebody's going to try a movie. I don't know if it'll be any good, but it's like, you know, here's all this just raw material that you could do anything with.
Yeah, just fill in the blanks where there's, when you're a kid, you're playing Mario and you're kind of filling in the story blanks for yourself. How interesting would it be to see a movie that fills in all those blanks? I know what you mean. I kind of wish John Leguizamo had a mustache in this movie. That's a nitpick, but I kind of wish he did. He's got like a little bit of stubble under his nose, but I want Luigi to have a mustache.
I'm going to make, yeah, that's totally fair. Well, and it's also kind of interesting that they created such an age gap.
That is true, yeah. Because usually Mario and Luigi are around the same age.
I mean, that's what I thought even from like the cartoon show. I don't really get the sense that they're necessarily, you know, all that far. I mean, I think you could get away with doing a Mario Brothers thing where you made a plot point out of their non-identical twins. Like, I think you could even do that.
That's true, yeah. Look,
I'm gonna make the. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say Luigi's typically in most Mario adaptations and in the games, he's the little brother. I don't know how by much, but I would be fine if they changed it and it made it more interesting. I mean, who knows?
I'm gonna make the case that one of the things that really hurt this movie and hurt the popularity of it, like people were maybe harder on it than they would have been otherwise, is Jurassic Park, because they both came out the same year and they're both about dinosaurs and they were both aimed at kids. Um, that kind of helped.
That's true. I wasn't even thinking about that they were released in the same year.
I'm not sure which came first. I'd have to look at months, but that kind of helped.
Well, famously, this movie bombed at the box office, so even if it came out before or after, nobody saw it anyway. So,
That's a good point. Yeah.
see, and at least we get the Mario Brothers doing some sort of plumbing. That's kind of cool, I guess.
No, that's kind of fun. Yeah.
And I like that King Koopa has henchmen. That's cool.
Who remind me a lot. You are grasping at positive things to say right now. Who remind me of the burglars in Home Alone really hard.
Yeah, they're really dumb. I kind of wish.
Well, and they both have that just silly. And I know that like they're from an alternate dimension, so that's part of it. But I mean, like they do have that whole like we dress really weird, and we have weird gloves, we have all this odd bling on, and you know it's like that.
Right, that's why I kind of wish they were based somewhat on the Koopalings because they always had that thing going on where they had that kind of weird, eccentric dress that was distinct to each of them. But when did Mario 3 come out? Because that's where the Koopalings debuted, right?
Mario 3 is 91.
Okay, so yeah, that was out by the time this happened.
If memory serves. And interestingly, Mario Kart is 93.
Oh, interesting.
And there is a scene in this that and I said this in my rewind that I'm almost positive they were thinking Mario Kart when they made it, and I really wonder if like there had been buzz about that as they were making this movie and they wrote it for that or something. But when we get to the scene, I'll mention it because it's too close to not be somehow related to Mario Kart.
And one of the things I find to be really interesting about this movie and like the fact that it didn't do well and it's like mostly reviled by everybody is that like Nintendo.
My wife loves it. I just gotta throw that out
I
there.
enjoy watching it too. I'm having a great time watching this right now. But like, even the people in Nintendo, they're like, the Mario Brothers movie kind of hurt the brand for us, and I don't really think it did. Like, the Mario games are like still wildly successful. It doesn't seem to have slowed Mario down as a pop culture
I don't know
phenomenon at
what that.
all.
I don't know what that means. I mean, it didn't hurt Mario World. That was that was huge.
Or Mario
So yeah,
Kart,
no,
or subsequently all the other Mario
uh,
spin-offs like Tennis and stuff like that on the 64. I mean,
that's hilarious that you went to tennis. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it didn't hurt any of that.
like They did a survey recently. I don't know what the sample size was, but they took a bunch of kids, and apparently Mario among these kids that they did the study with is more recognizable than Mickey Mouse. So that says something about how pervasive Mario is in our culture right now, you know?
I think it's really important to note, and I just looked this up to make sure I was sure I was right about it because I could tell just listening to the soundtrack. Alan Silvestri also did the music for Roger Rabbit,
Oh, cool.
and of course this was Bob Hoskins, and it's interesting because this was not a Zemeckis project, so it's unusual for a composer to be linked with an actor like that. So I'm not sure how that happened, but like this soundtrack is very Roger Rabbit.
The people making this movie, like you said, must have been thinking Roger Rabbit when they cast him, and that's the kind of tone they must have been going for with the movie originally.
Well, and remember that only came out a few years before this. Roger Rabbit was like '89.
Oh, okay.
It was right in the late '80s, and like I said, was a phenomenon. No, there are a lot of parallels, or not parallels, but a lot of things that they just borrowed from that.
Hmm.
So this doesn't look great. I mean the design of the limbo thing is kind of neat.
It doesn't look like anything from Mario. It kind of looks like something out of Doctor Strange, but it looks
Isn't
cool.
it weird though that they go through walls in a very similar effect as Mario 64, but that's 4 years after this.
Hey, maybe they took something from this movie. Who knows?
Maybe they did.
Miyamoto was watching.
Because that's cool
It
looking, you know.
is.
I
It
mean,
is.
I like. So you go back and you watch this in retrospect, and you're like, oh yes, that's a Mario thing. Wait, it wasn't yet.
Mario. Who would have thought that the Super Mario Brothers movie added something to the mythos?
I will say that it is kind of in a roundabout way already a Mario thing in that Mario games always had invisible things.
Yes, they did.
Like you'd jump up and you'd hit an invisible block, or you'd fight, but like it had a lot of secret, invisible, hidden things. So that is kind of in a vague sort of way already a Mario thing.
Right. And
Okay,
did you see
so
all the references there to Thwomp and
yep.
Bullet Bills? And I think it's interesting that Koopa's kingdom in this movie is a democracy. Apparently, it says vote for Koopa. I don't know if they
I,
have any other choice, but
I was gonna mention that too. I think that's a joke. I think it's like he just puts that up there to like sort of halfway have this like democratic notion, so that he could just in a really obvious way be like, no, I'm really not a dictator.
yeah, I mean, a lot of dictators like that exist today. So I guess maybe they're doing some social commentary in this movie. No, they're not at all.
Or if they are, it's really blatant. It has been said that like a lot of things right at this period, this is borrowing heavily and maybe is even too derivative of oh man, what is the movie that is not in my brain right now? Um, it'll come to me. Blade Runner.
Oh, yes, yes.
Son, you got a snake on your face.
The lady, like, with an egg and a stroller is hilarious.
Yeah, that's great. There's some fun gags like that. I mean, it's still really kind of like bottom of the barrel kind of humor, but I think well maybe that's not fair. That's a funny
It
gag.
is.
That's an amusing gag.
I was a
I was a
teenage
teenage
mammal.
animal. I thought it said animal. Yeah, mammal.
That's
That
this
that's
world's
that's
version of the Ninja Turtles, teenage mammals.
yeah. There's a lot of stuff in this where like if you blink you miss it and those are the Mario references. It's like you came to see a movie about Mario and it doesn't look much like Mario, but if you really look, you might notice a few references to the thing that you thought you came to see. I will say that the walls inside of Koopa's actual castle-y part where he lives, that looks like a Mario castle. That like these sets, this is the closest they get to actually looking like stuff in the games.
Yes, it does.
That's all very Mario 3.
Especially the spikes on the walls we can see here.
Yeah. That's mostly what I'm talking. Okay, so I'm praising it for spikes on walls. That's ultimately what we're getting at is Good job there, guys. Spice on walls. We're really like not even trying when the big thing that we try to make uh our King Koopa like remind us of dinosaurs is just the way he does his hair.
Yeah,
Really?
I always thought it was hilarious that his plan in this movie is to like conquer the world of mammals and kill all of them when they like aspire to look like them.
I don't know why they do that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just we take the stuff we like and then we, get rid of everything else. I don't know. Oh no, I know what it is. It's cutting costs, Dan.
They even stole democracy from us mammals, apparently, too.
Or they stole pretending to be democratic
Yeah,
from us.
yeah. The illusion of democracy.
Yeah, except it's, thinly veiled.
These guys are like Bulk and Skull, but in the Mario Brothers movie. Just dumb.
We could almost make their scenes better if we just added that music. Da 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 da. Every time they're on screen, I'm gonna do that. Da 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 da. I do think it's kind of fun that the currency in this is Koopa coins. That's
I
fun.
do like that, but the thing that's unfortunate about this world is they apparently have three businesses: Bullet Bills, Thwomp, and Tattoos. And that's it.
They're all owned by Koopa, who they have to vote for because no one else is allowed to run. Maybe it's one of those things where like somebody else could run, but they know they'll get killed if they don't. So they have this. So they like pretend like oh, we have this democratic election system. Maybe it's like that. You know.
See, one of the things that is cool about this world is like dropping them in here and like seeing the juxtaposition, I suppose, of like an old lady that's really an aggressive. I don't know. That's kind of interesting. Kind of subverting your expectations in a really obvious way, I guess.
And if memory serves, the lady in red is supposed to be like the big pufferfish thing or
Oh,
something.
really?
Yeah, I always thought she was a spiny, but then I
Huh.
found out that she's not a spiny.
And she falls in love with Mario, which is hilarious.
And so, oh yeah, that whole thing. And then we have boots to make us jump high, so we have the jumping thing in there. And it's just too bad we don't have any other power ups. We have fireballs, so
We
we
do.
have we have ways to do that. But we don't have anything like that makes you big, and we don't have anything that makes you invincible, really.
And they don't really ride the Yoshis either.
Well, no, because they're tiny.
Right, exactly. I wish Mario.
Well, we have a Yoshi, and he's tiny.
Right. I wish Mario had his yellow cape from Mario World.
And that's Toad, but you wouldn't know it.
Yeah, Toad's apparently like, a hipster musician.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
If they actually gave this guy Toad's voice, that I would have been so happy. Like, okay, that would have been
Ow!
yeah.
So I should mention, and it's actually making this movie slightly more watchable that there is a webcomic going on right now. I'll try to put a link in the description if I can. There's this really neat webcomic that's going on right now that is a sequel to this movie.
What? That's awesome.
And the guys that are doing it went to one of the writers of this movie and picked his brain and asked him what sorts of things he would have considered doing for a sequel if they'd gotten one, because this ends with a kind of set up for a sequel sort of thing. And he wrote the foreword to their webcomic, which is hilarious because the foreword is like, so these guys are really talented and the art's great. I mean, it looks like Image should be publishing it. It looks really good,
Wow.
and they the first part of it's black and white, but then it goes color, and it's really good. But the guy who did the foreword that wrote that co-wrote this movie was like, so these really talented guys came to me and said they want to do this Mario thing, and like they can't really publish it and make any money on it, and I told them they should like use their brains and come up with their own original concept, but they wanted to do this, so I was like, okay, whatever. But I just want to say that I'm not in full support of this because I think they're talented enough to make their own thing that's cool, and I just thought that was hilarious. The sequel webcomic, I like is really clever because it finds really cool ways to still look like this but do more actual Mario stuff.
Oh, cool.
And like they have this whole thing where they're able to make Toad look like Toad because he has to wear this thing on his head so that he can breathe after what happens to him in this movie,
Oh,
and it
that's
makes him
awesome.
look like Toad. And then since it's Mario 2, they use tons of Mario 2 stuff.
Oh, cool.
And like the Mouser guy is in it,
Oh,
and
I love the
yeah,
Mouser guy.
it is neat. Anyways, I just wanted to plug that really quick because I've been meaning to do a vault on what's up so far, and I haven't checked it in a month or so. Maybe they've put more up since then, but it's really good. It's quite professional,
You're gonna have
and
to send me a link to that.
the writing is great. Like it's got a real story. There's some neat stuff about family, and I mean, there's some great actual character stuff and neat
Wow,
paralleling subplots, and yeah, it's quite good.
that's awesome. One of the scenes that we just passed over, I
Sorry.
always thought was really funny as a kid. In that their last names are also Mario, a concept that was just not really thought through all that much when they made the video games, I guess.
Yeah, like we're the Super Mario Brothers because Mario's the important one.
I guess that's always why I liked Luigi. He was the underdog. He didn't get top billing. I don't know.
And when I was a kid, I thought that was hilarious too. And a lot of people complain about it now. They're like, Mario, that's so dumb. And I'm like, yeah, but like, let's have some perspective with this movie. How much dumber is it than anything else? Like,
Right.
no, I think it's kind of fun.
See, I'm looking at Toad here, and we see his hair, and it's like shaved into a swirl. Why couldn't they have like shaved it into like dots on his head, like the mushroom on his head in the game? If we're gonna give him a goofy shaved head,
Are you suggesting they actually like were did something clever and based things off the material that the title is from? Is that what you're saying? We
yeah.
don't do we don't do that in a lot of Hollywood movies like this. We gotta.
See, I'd like to see.
It's not accessible, Dan. If people don't understand, see, that's the thing is that like the dumb people in the audience that see this that have never played the games, they won't understand the reference. So we can't do that.
See, I'm kind of surprised. Like, if this movie came out today, there would be a Super Mario Brothers the movie, the video game, and that would be the best thing ever.
I can't believe that didn't get made. Now that I'm thinking, no, that's hilarious. You really don't want it to be like Street Fighter the movie, the video game.
They made a
You don't
Street
want.
Fighter the movie, the video game?
Yes, they did.
Oh
Well, I don't
man.
think they called it the video game, but I'm going to say it like that because that's hilarious. Yeah, and what it was it was this really awful button masher that tried to make the characters look real by just sort of using what looked like sort of cardboard cutouts of the actual like real people's faces, and so like it just looked awful.
Dear God.
I played it on Saturn. It was bad.
We're going old school, folks. We're talking about the Sega Saturn.
So this is really, which I mean, this movie predates the
Yeah.
Saturn. Not by a lot though. So this is not the sort of setting you would expect the Mario Brothers to first meet King Koopa.
I know, right?
It's also kind of awkward because like, he was already called Bowser by this point,
He was, yeah.
if memory serves. And by the way, we're talking about some stuff I haven't thought about in a long time, so I may get a couple of things wrong. If I say anything that's totally off base because I'm not looking everything up right now, feel free to leave a comment and be like, "No, Captain Logan, you're totally wrong."
The guy who plays Bowser, I feel like I've seen him in other things before. Is
Oh,
that Dennis Hopper?
that's Dennis Hopper, and he
Okay.
plays villains all over the place, and he loves stuff like this. He's the one person that really looks like he's having a great time making
Oh
this, and
yeah.
I don't know, what it was like for him, but like he sells it. And he's got the few things that I think are legitimately really fun. The whole thing where he's trying to order pizza at the end, and that's a running gag. That's funny.
Yeah, it is. And I love the Goomba machine in this. And the Goombas are sort of infamous for being like they're a meme on the internet now because they look kind of stupid.
Oh yeah. Well, and they're just creepy.
Yeah, and they look
This,
nothing like the Goombas from the games at all.
and they're huge.
Yeah.
They just have tiny heads. What was it that recently? Oh, I know what it was. It was the lizard from Amazing Spider-Man that people said looked like one of these.
And they're not wrong.
No, he does.
Which, I mean,
What were we
the
thinking?
design from Amazing Spider-Man 1 looks like the Ditko lizard, which obviously predates this movie. But this this movie's Goombas just kind of look like Ditko's lizard, I suppose.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I thought so. His didn't have a snout.
No, it did not.
I didn't know that was even a thing because the whole reasoning for not having a snout was just we can't like have him talk in a scene.
Right, and when he originally showed up in his first appearance, and until John Romita Sr. took over the book, he did not have a snout. So,
Wow.
yeah. Interesting Spider-Man factoid in the Super Mario Brothers commentary.
So Mario and Luigi would have won all of this a lot faster if they just understood that you're supposed to jump on the Goomba's heads. They
Yes.
didn't know that. Of course, they got to get up a little higher before they can do that. I guess they got to put on the rocket boots and then jump and then that never happens, right? They never use the rocket boots to jump on a Goomba's head. That should have happened. And then we should have what they should have done is they should have put like 8 in a row and then had them bounce off their heads, and then like a one-up mushroom comes out, like boop, boop,
Yeah,
boop, and then have like the escalating sound effects, and then yeah,
that would have
but they
been
didn't do that.
awesome. See, when I was a kid, I always kind of thought that
Why does he have a harmonica?
I don't,
Why?
because he's this
Why?
world's Bob Dylan.
Why does he have? Yeah, well, and that was the joke, right? That yeah, yeah. Okay, that's why. Anyway, I just answered my own question.
One of the thing I just kind of thought it was horrifying as a kid, like seeing these people turned into like really dumb henchmen dinosaur creatures.
Oh yeah,
I
no, it's
I
mortifying
was
as a
genuinely
child,
scared of
right?
that stuff.
We love doing this stuff in '90s in '80s and '90s movies to kids, man. Right? We're like, it's a kids movie, and then we just put things in it that will horrify you and like creep you out to the core, and then you have nightmares about it. And but we wouldn't be the people we are today without those
Oh,
things, with
definitely
those sorts of
not.
things.
I still dream about Goombas.
And then of course you think about how like fairy tales that were meant for children have horrible things that happen to them and in them and my point is like freaking out kids in stories is something we've been doing since antiquity,
Oh yeah.
it goes all the way back.
And how weird is it in this movie that like we're in the Mushroom Kingdom, so like the entire fabric of this world is made of fungus and it drops bombs whenever it feels like it?
Yeah, well, it's not actually the fabric of it, it's just like all around because it turns out that it's actually her dad's,
Right.
so
I don't know. I just felt like whenever I watched this movie, like the fungus was like the uh the divine being that watched over Mario.
well, I just wondered if why is it the Mushroom Kingdom before there's fungus? Like,
Right.
why is it? Was it called that before? I think it was. I think it actually was a Mushroom Kingdom, and I think I should reiterate that you really wouldn't expect in a movie based on those games that the whole Mushroom Kingdom would be inside, that like you'd never go outside anyway. Like it never looks like you're actually outdoors. That's one of the things that drives me crazy about it is that you're supposed to be outside, but it all looks like it's inside a big warehouse.
Oh yeah, you're
And
definitely on a soundstage, like a giant warehouse soundstage kind of thing in this
but it
movie.
just doesn't even
So,
feel like they tried to make it seem any more expansive than that. And
right.
and so or bigger, at least give me one shot of sky or something just to give me some context. And so it doesn't feel like the Mushroom Kingdom because you don't expect like a gritty urban environment for Mario.
Yeah,
Like what are we
this is
doing?
like steampunk or something like that. It's very
It
strange.
is, yeah. It looks like Demolition Man.
Yeah.
Like what are we doing?
Why do the police cars have plows on the front of them? I guess it must get crazy in the winter in Mushroom Kingdom, huh?
Yeah, man, it snows real hard inside that warehouse, Dan.
And is this the scene you were talking about where you're talking about it being like Mario Kart?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
It's in the third act. It's toward the end.
Oh, okay. Because I kind of always
It
thought
it
about this scene
actually
too.
it actually doesn't have cars.
Oh,
But
interesting.
I'll tell you I'll mention it when we get toward the end. Yeah. I am irritated that we got the whole like obligatory like Italian pasta song thing. I complained about this in my rewind, I think, in the soundtrack, but not the Mario theme. It's like we got to make a big deal out of the whole like Italian plumber thing and make that as stereotypical as possible and use all the stereotypes for that, but then not actually use anything for Mario. Mario has more memorable themes than really anything.
Yeah, I mean, all the Nintendo games have really memorable and iconic music. I mean, even if you're not a big Zelda fan, but you know what the main theme of that game sounds like just because it's permeated so well. But Mario especially, like the noise that happens when Mario gets hit and dies, the boop 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 doo doo, like when you fall off the stage, like that could have been used in here when they got hit or something. Who knows?
Every time I fail at something, I feel the need to go bum bum ba da da da
Yeah.
da da.
I would like to know which scenes of this Bob Hoskins was drunk during.
I'm gonna assume the one where he's actually driving. That probably had no. That's not
He
funny.
just wrecks the soundstage completely.
I guess I'm only saying that because he looks like he could potentially be drunk in this scene.
Hey,
But
he's
but yeah,
holding it together acting wise pretty well in everything I've seen so
yeah.
far. He doesn't seem like he's phoning it in, you know?
No, he's not. He's not. He's trying. And like I said, the acting's not the problem in this movie. I think this exact same cast would have done a better
Oh,
script,
I think so
uh,
too.
a lot of justice.
I can only imagine if this movie was really good, how much bigger Mario would have become.
Well, or bigger, faster, because I think
Yeah.
I think I think Mario was enormous.
It
I
is
mean, I
enormous,
mean,
but I
like
can only imagine how much more enormous it would have been if it had like a really good movie franchise on top of all the games, you know?
I would make the case that if a movie like this early had been, oh, do we have to have that springy sound? It doesn't work. I would boing. Oh, here's the thing. I'm gonna hold on. Now that I said that, if we have that boingy sound effect, that really cartoony, there's no way it sounds like that sound effect in this. Can't we just do Mario sound effects all the way through this? Wouldn't it like the same material? As incredibly absurd as it is, I think you get away with just like when they jump, they make the jump sound effect, and like if they pick up money, it goes bing. I think you could do all that, and it wouldn't make this any worse. That's all I'm saying.
No, I agree.
When I was a kid, I wondered all of that. Like I watched the cartoon show, and I was like, well, wait, when they do Mario things, they're supposed to have the sound effects.
The cartoon show is really fun. I've watched that, and I don't know if you've ever seen the Zelda cartoon that they made too, which was aired on Fridays during the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. They're both really fun. They're really goofy and
I
not
mean,
very good,
they're
but
they're awful,
yeah,
but they're fun. Mario 3 was a lot better.
yeah,
I mean, there was some cool stuff in that, and Mario World had some neat things in it too. I don't know if you ever saw that,
I
but
have, yes.
there's my favorite. There was an episode where there's a Tetris episode where they just have Tetris pieces falling from the sky.
Oh,
That's
interesting.
so cool.
That
Yeah,
is cool.
boy, there was something. There was some point I was gonna make early. Oh, I know what it was. I think that if a movie like this had been successful and had been really good, and had been like, let's say this was the Batman for this kind of thing. '89 Batman exploded, and then people wanted to make comic book movies, but nothing else got real big except for Batman there for a lot of years. I kind of think if this had worked, even though it's not technically a superhero movie, it's not based on comics and stuff, it's so in that vein, I think more of that would have happened quicker. Like, I actually I would make the case that this might have helped, something like this might have actually helped us get to more superhero movies quicker.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I can see that. I would
Just things of that vein. I'm waiting for the superhero movie onslaught to help video game movies. I'm surprised that hasn't happened. I'm surprised the really great video game movie hasn't gotten made off the heels of Dark Knight and Avengers.
Oh, and I would pay any amount of money to see a fantastic Legend of Zelda movie, man. Believe me, I want that to happen so badly. And it'll be interesting to see. Like they apparently Michael Fassbender is going to play the guy from Assassin's Creed in the Assassin's Creed movie. So hopefully that turns out
Yeah.
well.
They're making another Hitman.
Oh,
That's coming
interesting.
out next year. I was like, and apparently the same director, but I don't think it's the same continuity, and it's a different actor.
Huh.
And it's not going to be called Hitman. It's going to be called Agent 47. I just saw something on that today, and I was like, wow, really? That's an odd choice. There's so many other things that could be adapted, and we're going to go back to that again.
Yeah. Well, I
As
mean,
unsuccessful a movie as that was.
it just kind of speaks to the Hollywood going back to the mill of things people have heard of, I guess, right?
But it's weird because like nobody saw it. It bombed. It
Oh,
was
it did?
unsuccessful.
Okay. Yeah, I've
And
never seen it,
it's
so I don't know.
I like it more than a lot of people do. It's not great,
Yeah.
but it's not the most well-known thing. I mean, like lots of people don't know what Hitman is. Lots of people have never played it.
Right.
I'm just saying, like it's not. It was the games were a success, but there's tons of other than Assassin's Creed. That makes sense that they're finally doing that. But like for a long time, there's supposed to be a World of Warcraft movie. I think that's finally maybe happening now.
Yeah,
I don't
Sam
know.
Raimi was attached to that for a long
For a
time.
while, yeah.
I don't know if he's still attached to it, but I hope the World of Warcraft movie happens because I played World of Warcraft for a long time, and I'm a big fan of that series of games.
Wow, and you got out alive? Like
Yes, I kicked the
you're still
nerd
eating
crack.
food and going to work
Yes.
and I'm just kidding. I know there are plenty of people that play that game and have perfectly normal lives, but I've met people who don't go to work
It's
and
insane.
lose job and have lost their job because of that game. I said people. I knew one guy that happened to, but I've known other people that have gotten close, and I've known people that like when they take a vacation, they don't go anywhere. They don't like go out and go to like a nice hotel, or yeah, they don't take a cruise. They don't or even just like go see family. They just stay in their house and sleep 3 hours a day, like a lot less than if they were working and play World of Warcraft.
They took a vacation
And
to
whatever,
Azeroth.
and whatever floats your boat, man.
Yeah.
But like, that's not for me.
Everything in moderation.
Oh, this is all very sad and depressing, Dan.
What are you talking about?
Were we watching a movie or something?
Well, at least she's better than Megan Fox.
So why does Koopa want to merge the dimensions? Why doesn't he just go live in the other one? Like,
Because mammals are bad, Captain Logan.
oh, is that right? Oh, well, speaking as a mammal, I take offense to that.
See, it kind of bothers me too that we don't get Mario and Luigi in like I mean, Mario has like red on his jacket there, but I wish we had like Mario and Luigi wearing green and red clothing throughout the entire movie. Like they put it on in the movie and they make a big deal about it. Like later on we'll see it. But I don't know. I kind of wish that like they would wear those outfits the whole movie.
There's really no reason they shouldn't, because in the games that's just their uniforms. It's just what they wear. There's really no reason it couldn't have been that from the beginning. Second of all, the way they get the costumes is really contrived and silly. They just like find them in a locker. And they just happen to fit, and they're two different colors and they're different sizes and all that. But then thirdly, it just seems to me like we're trying to make this an origin movie, and everything's got to be an origin movie. And it's like, okay, fine. First time they go to the Mushroom Kingdom, okay, I can live. First time they meet these characters, first time they defeat Koopa, fine. That I can. But do we have to make it an origin for them as sort of pseudo superheroes? Do we have to and then they get their costumes? I mean, at the very least, have them meet somebody that makes them those, and even that would be kind of dumb. No, they should be wearing those from the beginning. I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
And this is Yoshi. Yoshi is, I want to say, probably the most recent thing to this that they added. I was a little surprised to see him when I was a kid because Yoshi was a new thing.
He was, yeah. And I always really liked Yoshi. I was glad to see him in the movie.
And it makes sense that if they're going to do the whole dinosaur thing, they have like a pet dinosaur in the castle. That's kind of cool.
Right. It just calls into question for me, like, what's the hierarchy of intelligence of these reptiles? You know what I mean? Like, they're all dinosaurs, but like some of them are pets and are not highly intelligent. Like Yoshi's kind of smart. Like we see him do things that are kind of like, he can feel emotion in things to some degree, but like he's not able to make himself look like a mammal and communicate and stuff.
I think the answer is they didn't think it through, Dan.
See, this world isn't fleshed out enough for me.
Well, it's not. I mean, yeah, no, I completely agree. They didn't think that kind of stuff through, and that's what really annoys me about these kind of origin pictures of stuff. Where this is a movie made by committee. These are the kind of movies, and I have to talk about them. We have to talk about the stuff constantly in the kinds of stuff we're into, right, Dan?
Right,
Where
yeah.
where you have kind of somebody got assigned to make a movie, and it was like, okay, we know this is possibly going to make a lot of money because the name will sell it. Go spend 6 hours watching source material or playing the video games, and then make me a movie. Wouldn't it make a lot more sense to find somebody in Hollywood that likes this material? Is it that hard? Are you telling me there's like, even in '93, that there's like no decent directors that are playing video games, or at least have kids that do? I'm just saying, like, you've got to be able to find the guy who is passionate for this and a good filmmaker,
Yeah, I mean, I think
at least a good script writer.
right. And I think since Mario was it had been around for a little while, but I think the best time to make a Mario movie would be today. Like a lot of the people that grew up playing this stuff are of age where they could be like, working in Hollywood today. I think you could find someone with the passion for this kind of material and make a good movie.
I think you make the Mario movie now, and no matter what it is, it makes buku bucks opening weekend.
Oh yeah. I want Pixar to get their hands on Mario. I think they
I I have always said that, but I think just yeah, give it to an animation house. But I still think a live action. I still stand by a live action Mario movie could work. And
I
I
think so
think, and
too.
I said this in my rewind. Ironically, they were thinking Roger Rabbit, but they didn't go far enough. What this should be, I think, and I'm always complaining about badly integrated CGI, so it's really interesting that I'm saying this. But I think you have human characters in a fully 3D animated rendered world. I think what you do with it is you do what Roger Rabbit did, where you have human characters that interact with cartoons. I think that would really work because what you could do with it is you could have a real world. This is just my idea. You could have a real world. The SpongeBob movie that's about to come out is kind of doing this,
Oh
and I think
yeah,
you could do it
yeah.
with Mario, where you have a real world where everybody is 100% real. That's where Mario and Luigi live, and then when they go to this other dimension, they're going to a world that is animated.
That would be cool. And like people like Princess Peach could be real people in that dimension, but like everything else like Bowser and the Goombas and Toad and stuff would be animated, right?
Yeah, you do it sort of like Muppets.
That would
You
be
know, where
cool.
like you have a, I don't mean actually do puppets. I just mean like with Muppets, you have like Muppets integrated with like real people. You do the same thing with that. The only difference that you'd have with that and what they're doing with that SpongeBob movie is the Mario Brothers would look different once they went to the new world. I think that's really strange that they're making the SpongeBob characters suddenly 3D animated when they were 2D and then they go into real life. That's really strange. You
Right.
wouldn't want that.
You know what they could do? Nintendo has some big bucks on their hands here. They could do a Nintendo universe like Marvel and integrate all their characters and do a Smash
Oh my
Brothers
god.
team movie, and it would be great.
That's hilarious. One step at a time, Dan. Let's get the Iron Man of this out of the way
Right.
first.
I want to see Link and Mario and Samus and Fox McCloud, all those characters, all on the same screen.
I have to say, I really appreciate going practical here with the dinosaur. He looks good.
He does look good.
Um, it's well made, and it looks real enough. If that, especially in '94 and '93, man, if they try to make that, some kind of a digital thing. Although we weren't doing as much of that right in a frame yet, so
It's interesting to me that it looks as good as it is, considering, like
in
you
the
said,
real.
this came out the same year as Jurassic Park, and that's kind of like set the bar for good-looking, practical effect dinosaurs on screen. Like all that stuff still holds up to this day, you know?
Oh boy, look at all this slapstick! Isn't that funny? Oh, of course he's of course he's using a plunger on someone's face.
And they even did a goofy slapstick sound effect that could have been a Mario one.
Dan, what is your favorite Mario sound effect?
Probably the warp pipe noise.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah. I have a few that I just love that stick with this is a weird conversation to have, but where else will we ever have this conversation? I like the sound in a lot of mine are from Mario World. I like the sound that happens when you get the cape.
that's a cool sound effect. Yeah.
There's like and then I like the sound when you finish a level in Mario World and the level ends and it goes black and it circles you and it goes.
Yeah,
I like that
that
one
is
too.
cool. What? This is such a missed opportunity. Mario and Luigi are dressing up to go to a club or undercover here. Why don't they have red and green outfits on? Luigi has a red outfit on here, and Mario's an orange one.
And here in a little bit, we're gonna get Everybody Walk the Dinosaur, which I love. I think that song's
Yeah.
hilarious, and it is kind of fun that's in this. But once again, it's like we're really beating around the bush. Like we're doing dinosaurs, we're doing fungus, and we're doing plumbing, and we're doing Italy, or we're doing the three things that people know when they play Trivial Pursuit about Italy,
Yeah.
and uh, and then we're doing like kind of little nods to things. Okay, so
2,000 coupons?
coupons. So we got Koopa coins. We also got coupons. So what is the currency of the land, Dan?
I don't know. Maybe Koopa's so corrupt that he has two different currencies. One for the little people, which are coupons, and then Koopa coins are for the upper class, the upper echelon of Koopa society.
You're reading too far into this movie, Dan. I think it's more likely that the script is corrupted and that it can't keep track of what little continuity it has. That's more likely. Yeah, why is Mario wearing yellow?
Yeah, he looks like Wario all of a sudden here.
Oh yeah, he does. I'm gonna win.
See, that's what they should have done for the sequel. They should have fought Wario and Waluigi. That would have been awesome.
I don't like Waluigi, but yeah,
I
that
like
could be great.
Waluigi. No one likes Waluigi except for me. Everyone hates him.
Well,
So
Dan,
that's fair enough, but I like
Dan, you're entitled to your opinion,
him.
but I always thought that was just such a dumb name, Waluigi.
I just always used to like him because he was purple. And that's my favorite color.
Oh, that's a little superficial, Dan.
Well,
Although, not that there's any substance to these characters.
right.
No, you need a real, refined reason for liking that character.
Oh God.
Wow, you were just witness to that again. You know, I can go the rest of my life without seeing that. For those of you at home, or for those of you in your car or whatever, listening to this and not watching, I'm going to provide no context for what I just witnessed because I don't want you to get a mental picture. Okay, it was Mario grabbing
He put his
the rock
face
with
in.
his teeth,
Yeah.
and he put his face in the big lady's chest. That is the big pufferfish lady. She's not very ladylike though, Dan.
No, she beats people up.
I don't know how he. Okay, so for the record, you cannot get a necklace off a woman without her knowing. There's just I don't see how you do that. Like
I've never been
it's
successful doing
around
that.
her neck. Have you tried it,
No, I
Dan? Have you?
haven't.
Dan used to try to be a pickpocket, but then he decided to just stick with pockets because people's necks. Oh here it comes! Everybody walk the dinosaur, Dan.
Oh God.
Okay, so how does he know what he's talking about when he's like scramble and right fake? It's like what have we done this before? Oh, really? So you got how much football have you two played together? Right? All right.
I'm surprised the sport they're trying to play isn't more Italian, like soccer or something.
Okay, so I want you to bounce the rock off of 16 body parts. before you finally kick it over to me, just to be all impressive.
I always kind of wondered if Bowser's hench lady was supposed to be someone from the games, but I can't really think of anyone off the top of my head. Like Bowser never had a lady friend in any of the games that I can remember.
No, there's not like a Bowser equivalent of Harley Quinn.
But they should definitely do that.
Yeah, they should. Well, what they should do is they should make an animated series and then invent her just for the animated series, and then she'll get really popular because somebody gave her a giant mallet, and
And then
then
they'll give her a comic book where she's Deadpool. It'll be great.
I'm not saying the only reason Harley Quinn is popular is because she has a mallet. I like Harley Quinn a
Oh, I
lot
do
too.
too.
I just realized that I made it sound like the only reason Harley Quinn is cool is because she has a mallet, but giant mallets are pretty awesome.
And Mario has a big mallet too in the original Donkey Kong game. I tied it back
Yes, he
together.
does. Hey, good job. Okay, I'm gonna do it.
I always thought it was amusing. I forgot to mention this when we turned Toad into a Koopa earlier. I mean, not a Koopa, a Goomba.
Did we do that? We did that
Yeah,
together.
and
Yeah, our powers combined. We turned him into a. Sorry, what?
he got immensely taller.
Yeah, he got a lot taller.
It's very strange. Like his head got changed, and all of a sudden he was taller.
So I just realized that when I was trying to do the "You Just Got the Hammer" theme in Donkey Kong, it actually turned into the theme from Rocky.
Well,
Dun, 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 dun.
that works too. We're also climbing upstairs in both things, so
I'm gonna play. Next time I play the original Donkey Kong, which I do oh so often.
that's a great game.
It is great. I'm just saying I haven't pulled it out in a long time. I will play the Rocky theme, Dan. There should be a video where we well no because it'll get copyright flagged and then I can't post it. But there's but that should happen. Okay, this is one of the other things that actually does look a lot like a thing in one of the games, which you have to freak out about because it's amazing when it happens. This is the end of every Mario 3 ship, where you've got the king that just got transformed and he's on his chair and he gets and like at first he's transformed and then when you get to the end you turn him back into human and he always invariably looks like some other. I think it's a lot of different kings, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's
I think so.
so the fact that they did the whole transformation into some monster thing was actually kind of neat, just because it actually does remind me of something in one of the games. That's good.
It is good. I I'm just so like I don't know, watching this movie, it's so weird to see like Mario steampunk. I never would have thought to combine those two things together.
This whole aesthetic is really strange and counterintuitive, and not what you thought you were walking
It
into.
looks like a corporate dystopia or something like similar to Spider-Man 2099 or something, where like one guy lives in like the top of like some big, company building and controls everything.
Was he ordering pizza at gunpoint?
I think so.
Is that like why was he aiming it at? He must be like every other movie villain around this time, where if somebody on a TV makes him mad, no matter what is happening, he's gonna blow the TV up.
Yeah, that reminds me of Shredder from the '90 movie where he throws the
And,
ninja dart thing into the TV.
and Joker in '89 does it
That's
twice.
true, yeah.
But somebody tell me what kind of world we live in when a man dressed up as a bat gets all my press. I'm sorry. So Mario.
Imagine if they cast Jack Nicholson as Luigi. That would have been nuts.
Oh my. Whoa! You just blew my mind with that.
You want to get nuts? Come on.
No, that's a Michael Keaton line.
Yeah, I know. But it's from the
But
same
it is
movie.
nuts. But it is. Well, I can't agree with that. He stole my balloons. So they're just still doing plumber stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. And that's one of the things that's amusing about the video games is the most plumbery thing you do in the Mario games is go through pipes. Like you don't actually do any plumbing.
I always thought that it would be really funny if you had a game called Mario's Plumbing because I mean I made this joke once somewhere. Oh, here comes the big poster shot.
Yay!
We finally actually put them in those and they look fine, and we could have used them the whole movie.
Yeah,
I mean, they look good.
they do. An interesting tidbit about Mario too. I don't know if you've ever heard this, but in the original Donkey Kong game, Mario is a carpenter, and they changed his profession to a plumber later on when he got
Oh
his own
yeah, that's
game.
right. Well, and I think like there's some art on some of the old Donkey Kong machines I've seen where you can tell that like they drew this guy that's not
Oh, it's
Mario.
not him at all.
Yeah, it's hilarious. But what I was gonna say is I always thought it was funny that Mario has done everything imaginable in video games except plumbing.
That's true.
Like he's played basketball
He
and
has.
he's done there was a Mario pinball game on one of the Game Boys. I mean, like Game Boy Advance, I think. Like I've got that. There's what else has he done? He's done
He's done
tennis and
tennis,
baseball.
baseball. He's done soccer. He is just a renaissance man.
Yes, he really is. He is a jack of all trades
And Mario,
except for his actual trade,
yeah, Mario Paint too. He's a painter.
Mario Paint. I love Mario Paint.
Mario Paint's really
It's
fun.
incredibly outdated, but I love it.
See,
Boy, I hear that klaxon. Sorry, I hear that klaxon sound in the elevator, and all I can think of is GoldenEye on 64. This whole thing is funny. It's ridiculous.
See, I wish the 64 was out by this time because the controllers could have been used as weapons. They look like boomerangs. Like, can you imagine them like flinging 64 controllers around? That'd be the best. And I'm actually kind of
Or at the very
surprised.
least, they could just hand them to people that haven't played video games and get carpal tunnel.
Yeah, exactly.
They could be used as weapons that way.
I haven't really noticed it, and I don't remember it being in the movie, but obviously I haven't really watched this in a while. But have you noticed any Nintendo product placement at all in this movie?
No,
That
and that's really
it
strange.
is, yeah.
That's a wonderful point. I'm so glad you said something insightful in this commentary. Because I'm sitting like, what am I going to say about this movie?
That's
I'm home. Oh.
It's Goomba Dylan.
You know, it'd be really funny to make a trailer of this movie that's a lot more honest and not like an honest trailer, like honest trailers,
Right.
but it'd be really funny to make a trailer. I thought about doing this before with movies, where like you take a movie and instead of using all the bits that would really sell it and make it look like a way cooler movie than it is, you actually just show what it really is. Like, so we got Goombas with harmonicas. Uh, that's in this movie.
See, you could totally make like a gritty Mario reboot trailer out of this too, like Mario
Oh heck
Begins. It
yeah,
would be great.
Mario Begins. And then like you get the drum beat going from the score from that movie.
Dun, 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 dun. That would be
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, we ought to get we ought to get him to score the next Mario
Yeah.
movie.
Mario could be like, nice hat. It'd be awesome.
Nice ad. That's great.
Oh, they got the Yoshi's tongue thing going
Yeah,
on.
they got the Yoshi tongue thing going on. We should have made like a list. We should have counted all the actual Mario references that are just like kind of throwaway references.
Yeah. See, the difference here being with the Yoshi eating things here, it would have been brutal and really gory if it actually happened in this movie. Whereas in the game, when he eats things, it's pleasant and makes you.
It's kind of
Yeah.
cute. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that needs to be
Yeah.
animated. Eventually, it breaks down. See, as I've said before, some things just don't translate. Some things don't translate.
These Goombas dancing in the elevator is the best thing ever.
See, that would be in the trailer too. I should make trailers like that. Did he just say Ten Hut?
You did.
Totally said Ten Hut. They're not soldiers. What?
I always wondered why too. Why some of the Goombas look different than the other ones, face wise. But I probably didn't think that through either.
They're guards, I guess. Guards and soldiers.
Yes, it's us. Are you surprised that they used Daisy instead of Peach? Because Daisy was a creation from like the Game Boy. I can't remember if the game she was in originally came out on the black and white Game Boy or the color. I think it was the first Mario Land on the original Game Boy. And she wasn't. I don't even know if she was Luigi's love interest at this point. I think this movie might have set that precedent, but I'm not sure.
I don't know. I'm not any more surprised by that than I am by the fact that they went with Koopa and not Bowser.
That's true, yeah.
But yeah, it is a strange choice. And yeah, there's some stuff when you look at this and the dates seem to almost not match up, and you're like, I don't know, they went with some things that are late enough. I wouldn't have figured they'd have them yet.
Yeah, and I don't know if because remember in like the cartoons in the original Mario games, she was called Princess Toadstool and not
Yeah.
Peach. I'm kind of surprised they just didn't go with that, but
Well, I always thought the idea there was that like Toadstool was like the name of her family or
right,
something.
exactly, yeah. Peach Toadstool is her full name.
Now, I
Probably.
will say, because we haven't talked a lot about the actual plot of this movie, I will say that the whole like de-evolution business and the like merging the realities and stuff, like it's not a terrible notion. Like so, like some of that stuff, creating its own mythology for all of this wasn't necessarily a bad idea. Again, not a lot to work with in the first place. And the comic that I've been reading that's trying to be a sequel to this is doing stuff with that and kind of running with it. So
Oh,
I don't know. I
cool.
just as I keep saying, just if they've just been more creative with it and ultimately thought it through better, and they could have made something more cohesive out of it. And if that had been more at the forefront, where Mario and Luigi were somehow dealing more with that kind of thing until the very very end, instead of just find this artifact, then if we'd actually been integrating the mythology stuff in with the character stuff, what little there is.
Right, I mean, all you need is to give Koopa a like really good motivation for trying to merge the dimensions or whatever. Like, say this fungus that he created by accident by taking over and getting rid of the king like is eating away at the world and he needs to merge the dimensions to save his newly conquered Koopa empire or something, who knows, because
Would have made a little bit more sense than what they tried to do. And as I said, it's been a while since I've seen this, and I haven't been paying as much attention to it as I have been our conversations. So I remember in my rewind, I had a whole thing about why his whole plot was kind of all over the place and didn't make a lot of sense. And so, if you want to know what I thought about that when I watched it last time, feel free to go watch my Superior Rewind. I did say in my rewind too that in that whole scene right there was potentially their homage to the whole Luigi jumps higher thing.
oh yes, that's true. And he is a little bit more slippery than Mario too. It's harder to make exact landings with Luigi as opposed to Mario.
I don't know, Dan. Between you and I, which one would you say is more slippery?
I think Luigi's more slippery with it on his feet than Mario is. Mario
I just mean between me and you, like Cat, Logan, and Dan. Which of us is more
more
slippery?
slippery.
Yeah. Do you think
Well,
you're kind of a slippery fellow?
yeah, I'm a slick, greasy, dishonest kind of person.
Oh man, there's always so much subterfuge when you're around,
I know,
Dan.
right? I should
I'm
work.
always feeling I always feel hoodwinked.
I should work for the Mushroom Kingdom version of the CIA. They have an intelligence agency.
Why was that not in this? And that's what the Mouser guy should have done. He should have
Oh, that
had
would have been
he's got those
awesome.
glasses. Yeah.
Or use some sort of other enemy at the very least. That would have been
Yeah.
because we kind of just got Goombas in here. Like where are the Koopa Troopas?
Uh well, we considering the way we made the Goombas look, I don't know if we would have wanted to see that. Oh, and the comics got Shy Guys.
Oh,
And
that's cool.
because again they're doing two, and so they've got and they look cool and they're creepy. The Shy Guys in that are basically I know this has nothing to do with really anything because this is not like a real official thing. But the Shy Guys in that look kind of like Jawas.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, they look like Shy Guys, but they're creepy like Jawas.
Cool. That's
That's
awesome.
neat. I don't know. I always thought Jawas were sort of creepy.
They are sort of creepy, and I always really
They
liked
got the
the
beady eye thing going on.
they do, and I always liked the design of the Shy Guys. I thought in the Mario games, I think they're one of my favorite enemy designs. So,
Okay, now this stuff I like down this hallway. This it looks like we're actually in a Bowser
oh,
castle,
it does definitely.
and
Spike.
that's neat. I just if they're gonna do that, I don't know why they didn't try to do more stuff that looked like actual places in Mario. Like why didn't we have more stuff with like brick brick floors and I
Right?
mean brick ground and why didn't we have more like platforms and things like even if they're not floating I'm not expecting in a live action movie to necessarily have Mario physics, although that would be amazing.
Yeah, it would.
But like couldn't we have like platforms when we're inside so much where we could like climb up and thing? I don't know. I'm just
That would be really
take
cool.
more stuff from the games and do fun things with it. I'm not even saying you have to change the story that much. It's just aesthetically, why can't we have more of that kind of stuff in this movie?
I think it would have been awesome to have, you know how Mario, all the levels have different sort of themed like landscapes and stuff. Like you got the desert levels, the sea levels, the volcanic levels. Like
Yeah.
the Mushroom Kingdom can be a vast place, right? The fact that
If it's not in a warehouse,
right, right,
yes.
exactly. Like I feel like this movie kind of missed an opportunity where we could have traveled around to vast different locations and stuff, but you know. I kind of miss the insignias of the various brothers on the hats, but I guess with the contrivance in which they got the costumes, that would make even less sense. But
Couldn't possibly have that. But then again, we shouldn't have the costumes in the first
right,
place, just the
exactly.
way they did it. Yeah, it's silly. No, I mean you could have even still had the letters on the hats if they came from them in the first place.
Right.
Koopa, you just don't seem as menacing when all of your henchmen are like 3 times taller than you. I mean, I know at the end you're going to turn into a giant dinosaur, but
Imagine if they got Jim Henson to do a costume a la the 90s Ninja Turtles movies, but of Bowser. How cool that would look.
yeah, it would be
That would be
awesome.
the coolest thing ever.
Sure, I'd be all for that. I'm sure it'd look better than Super Shredder.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, if we did that, yeah. Uh, we're just not trying very hard, Dan.
Yeah.
But you can kind of see why somebody thought, like, what if we took this concept and actually made a better story out of it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like, there's some stuff here potentially to work with.
I kind of forget where where did that random cop come from? He's like an Earth cop, like our world cop.
Violation of our civil. Did you notice that you have a dictator that is pretending he has a democracy?
Apparently, these Koopa citizens have rights.
Oh well, actually, these girls, I guess, were actually brought in from the real world, so they wouldn't know about all that.
Oh, okay.
They don't know that.
That's
Yeah,
true. Yes.
Dan, I know. We both forgot from it. We were watching a movie and we could actually comment on things that happen in it, and we were so prepared for this.
That's oh yes, that's the lady that Mario was with earlier.
Yeah, at the beginning,
Her name's Angelica. I'm surprised she wasn't named Peach.
she's clearly been watching way too much of The Nanny. She's channeling her inner Fran Drescher pretty hard.
Yeah. And this is the first time we kind of get to see Mario do an action scene by himself, ironically.
Well, it's about time for him to do something. All right, Dan, are you ready?
Yes.
All right, now, bear with me a little bit. This is Mario Kart.
Oh, on the mattress.
Yep. what they're about. Have an open mind here. This is Mario Kart. Because watch what they do when they slide down this. Hail Koopa. He looks like he's from the Mirror Universe, Dan. Did you know that Koopa was actually the head of Hydra?
Oh
Know
man, I think we're onto something here.
that.
That's who Robert Redford answers to.
Oh no, the bad guy obligatorily has the artifact that we didn't want him to get in the third act. Not that long before the movie's over, Dan.
That's
I wonder
always the
what's gonna
worst.
happen. Where's my pizza? I love that. That's pretty hilarious. All right, here we go. Here they go.
Oh,
And this is also the only like going down a tube thing that they do too.
that's
But
true. Yeah.
okay, so they're going down this mattress. There's gonna be some Goombas that come down also, and they're not really racing. They're just trying to catch up, but they're gonna start throwing stuff at each other.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So they're catching up, and then it's like, oh, let's drop something, as if it was like a banana peel.
I love
You
how
know,
he I love how
that's
he
gonna
felt the
happen here in a
need to
minute.
point out that's what was going on. He just looks behind and goes,
Just in case
Goombas.
we're all stupid. Well, yeah, and then like you have all these things that you have to avoid, and
Yeah,
then they got hit by one.
that's true.
It's Mario Kart.
The way this is filmed too, like whenever they get a shot behind them,
See,
it
watch.
always looks like they're going
This is the
incredibly
banana.
slow.
What are the odds that that would be right there? But watch, it's a banana peel.
It
I mean, it's
is,
Mario
yeah.
Kart.
That's true.
That is the most interesting tidbit that I've come up with for this entire movie. So I'm done now. I got nothing else.
Are you
Like
with
we got 20 minutes. I'm done.
Are you with me though? Whenever they go like behind them with the camera, it looks like they're going really slow.
Yes, sorry. I totally agree with that.
Like they just showed it again for a minute there, and I was like, "Oh man, they're going real slow." This doesn't look very good either.
No, no, it doesn't. I like how that guy totally crashed his bike because he was afraid he was going to get hit by these guys in a mattress and they were nowhere near him.
Goes to see how it goes to
Oh my
show
god.
how scared the Koopa citizens are living in this dictatorship, fake democratic society.
Oh my god, we both just asked each other if we were all right in unison. It must be love, Dad. The Goombas are dancing again. What do we do?
Use the bullet bill.
So we got bullet bills and we got bomb bombs, and those are the only two things that are really just like straight up what they were, except bullet bills are basically just bullets.
And both the bombs and the bullet bills are much smaller than they usually are, but they look
Yeah,
pretty similar.
they're super tiny. Which I'm not complaining about, I'm just saying.
No,
I'm
definitely
just
not.
making observations right now, Dan. Thwomp.
Thwomp, yeah.
But see, like we do that. Why couldn't we have an actual thwomp? Like that would have been cool. Like, well, why couldn't we have parts of this of the movie where we ran through crazy gauntlet things like it's a video game? Why didn't we do more of that?
Yeah, I mean, like you look at movies like Raiders of the Lost Ark, especially like that opening scene where Indiana Jones has to like run through all these like traps and stuff. That like, I don't know, if you did that in this movie, it would have. I feel like it's been done before. It would have
Yeah,
worked well.
and
Here.
they're clearly okay with doing things that have been done before.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
like
That's a good point.
they're not all that. Oh, did you see the sign back there that said Sparky? Like they really are just putting names of things if you've played Mario games everywhere in the signage and going, look, it's a Mario movie.
This lady really wants this necklace. Oh boy.
This is the classic showdown we've all been waiting for,
And
Dan.
now she looks like the bride of Frankenstein with the gray streak in her hair now that she's been electrocuted.
Yeah, and that actress seems to wind up with that kind of hair a lot in movies. Like I don't know what it is, but she seems to be the butt of jokes bad guy chick or lady who like will wind up in things where it's like, oh no, I got electrocuted.
She looks
Or
inherently evil, so I can see why they
yeah,
cast her as bad people.
yeah, I've seen her in other things.
I feel like I have too.
I can't remember what right now.
Yeah.
Um,
The
the universe is
universe is hers.
mine.
Not just those two dimensions, the entire
Wow.
universe.
Well, I mean, you got to give her that. She's ambitious.
That's what Koopa saw in her, her ambition. It's a deep character
Okay.
connection between the two of them, in case you weren't privy to that.
Was she one of the witches in Hocus Pocus or something? Is that what I'm
Possibly,
thinking?
I don't know.
Well, anyway, I'd have to go look at an IMDb page, and I have to keep track of this movie right now, Dan.
I mean, that would make sense. It's a similar kind of movie, I guess.
She is
Similar
the Bride of
caliber.
Frankenstein.
Luigi and his entourage of women.
You know, I didn't think of it until just that's actually kind of a cool looking shot. Um, I okay, this is fun because it's on a bridge.
Yes, it is. And Mario is fighting Bowser. That's cool.
Mario's fight. That's what I'm saying. Mario fighting Bowser on a bridge. If he had firepower, it would only take 5 or 6 shots, and then and then he'd be done. Um, and then Toad's got to come up and sing a Bob Dylan song called "I'm Sorry, but Your Princess is in Another Castle."
I'm sorry, but your princess in a castle.
In another castle. Better go on to stage 4. I mean, World 4. It's a Mario game. What am I talking about? If I were singing about Sonic, it'd be zones. I'm zoning out, man.
I know, right? See, and we see the bomb. It's going into the fungus here. It's going to cause some destruction.
Rufflehead.
See, I want to see like
Ringo.
Boomerang Bros and stuff in this movie.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Hammerheads.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't think about it until just now, Dan, but the plot of this movie is nearly the plot of DC Marvel Amalgam.
Really?
Well, no, not really. It's just we're merging universes. That's all.
Oh, that's true. See, I've never read any of that stuff.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So that's the only thing I really know about it is that like they make Dark Claw and Spider Boy and things like that.
Well, at first they just merge. They just like are able to cross each other's universes,
Right.
and then they just fight each other, and then the universes actually merge, and then they cross like that.
The first
But some people
Marvel
just
versus
remain
DC
exactly.
crossover, interestingly enough, is written by Peter David.
I didn't know that.
It's cool stuff.
Which one is that?
It's the one that's called Marvel versus DC, I think.
That's the first one.
Uh,
Because there was
there's
a
like
Superman Spider-Man back in like the late
I'm talking about
70s.
the first like what you were talking about, the universe
Oh, an
crossover
amalgam, an
thing.
amalgam.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Okay, look, if he's a filthy mammal, then why do you want to look like? Okay, we've covered that. We've already done that.
We don't know.
Hey, didn't we kind of rip this off from Back to the Future? Oh,
Yeah. It's interesting
look
that
at the wheel puller. It looks like a thing that could pull wheels.
plumber tools work on interdimensional ancient dinosaur rock technology.
Yeah, it seems like he'd have to twist harder. Wow,
Twin
I can't believe
towers.
what we're doing to buildings in this. Yeah, that's wow.
Twin towers being partly disappeared. That's rather strange.
Well, before 9/11, the Twin Towers got like hit hard in a lot of movies. Have you
Yeah,
noticed that?
that's true.
Like we like to mess with them as much as we like to mess with the Statue of Liberty and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. See, this is actually the origin for Planet of the Apes. I don't know if you knew that. This was the
Yeah, yeah.
original Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Good job, Koopa. You can identify a monkey. He's like monkey. What is wrong with you?
Uh, I mean, they kind of turned him into a monkey. That's pretty obvious, isn't it? What they did to him.
Yeah, yeah. We don't need to spell that out for the audience. We were sitting right here, and it's like, oh, that guy had it coming to him because he was doing bad things at the beginning of the movie.
How did Koopa know they were re-merging? Before that started happening, he's like, "What? No!"
Because somebody had to tell us what was happening, Dan.
See, I wanted to see Koopa walk around on Earth for a while, like Thor in the original. I mean, in the first Thor movie, where he's just like, "What is coffee? I need a horse from a pet store or something like that."
Give me one of these big enough to ride. Can't you tell he's a friend? The way you can identify him is that he's the one with the harmonica. Wow, it takes a really long time. That is a very long fuse, Dan.
It does.
And I like that. Apparently, it can walk up walls.
I wish the Bob-ombs in the games were that generous with their fuse length time.
They're not.
No, not at all.
Oh man, this movie, Dan. Why do they sound like bowling pins when they get knocked over?
See, that's another opportunity for a Mario sound effect.
Yeah, every time they do a cartoon noise in this, I'm like, have you forgotten your source material? And there's like a couple of token places where they make sounds that sound like NES games, but not Mario games.
Right. I'm amused by
And
that.
it's just like turning on monitors or something.
Yeah. I'm highly amused by that sign of Koopa kissing a baby. That's awesome.
Yeah, see, really thinly veiled evil dictatorship. He's completely oppressive, but pretends like he's not, and yet everybody seems kind of okay with it.
All you have to do.
That's one of the things that's really weird is that, okay, really,
Reebok.
like that's the product like Reebok on the bottom of. So, Dan, I don't know why nobody took this movie seriously.
See, all you have to do to install a dictatorship in under the veil of democracy is kiss babies.
I want a re-elect Koopa sign.
Yeah, me too.
My house, and I've always wanted. I've always been jealous of Vince because he has a I believe in Harvey Dent banner.
Oh, that's awesome.
I just wanted one of those, and then I think somebody should make a poster for the Tick. That's like re-elect Mayor Blank, because I always thought Mayor Blank was pretty funny.
You should get a one of Mayor West from Family Guy too.
Mayor West, yeah. So he turns into a dinosaur for like 2 seconds. Now they did set that up earlier where they made a big deal out of the T-Rex.
Yeah. I wish he looked a little bit more like Bowser, but I mean,
anything at all like Bowser?
Yeah.
I think it would have been really funny if Mario had to get to the other side of the bridge and then like push a button and then the whole bridge fell out and then he dropped.
Yeah. That would have been awesome.
But that would mean it had to be like Mario or something, and we can't have that.
Those jumpy boots are awesome. I want a pair of those.
Everybody liked peace signs.
Luigi is not a crook, folks.
He is not a crook. And everybody's like, what does that mean? You know, you shouldn't just randomly throw up signs in a dimension you've never been to because you don't know what it might mean, you know? Like,
yeah, maybe in this dystopian Koopa democracy, peace is war and freedom is slavery.
whoa. Loopy.
It's like
Yeah,
some
I've been
Orwellian kind of dystopia. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really kind of the poor man. This movie is the poor man's Orwell, is what it is, ultimately.
We're watching the adaptation of 1984 and Mario.
Whoa. That's not a mashup I would have expected.
How did this guy know the plumbers?
What do you mean?
Like, did he communicate them when? Oh no, he was a
Yeah.
sentient. He was
He's a
the
sentient
sentient fungus. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's why I contested you when you said that it was holding the universe together, because I'm like, well, if that was the case, then when he got unfungusified, it would have all fallen apart.
Right. That would have been hilarious. What they fought for the whole movie just collapses at the end.
But you see what I mean? That cave wall, it looks just like
It
64.
does.
Dan, I gotta be honest with you, that is the only chance I'm ever gonna have to use the word unfungusified. And by word, I mean thing I just made up.
Unless you ever get athlete's foot.
And then I'll be like, I'll go to the doctor. Hey, doctor, can you unfungusify my foot? Sort of like what happens at the end of the Super Mario Brothers movie. And then he'll be like, what are you talking about? And I'll be like, it's okay. If you don't know, your brain is probably better for it.
The Mushroom Kingdom just had athlete's world.
Athlete's world.
It's just sweaty and fungus filled.
I don't want to play that game, Dan. You know why her hair is blowing in the wind? Because it's a movie and they want to try to make it really dramatic and romantic.
Well, it's working on me. I fell for
Oh, is it?
it.
Are you? Wow. Wow. All right.
I'm fully
I mean,
enthralled.
she's cute, Dan. It's cool.
She
But...
is cute.
And I think she's quite good. I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't think she's bad either.
no, I liked her. And as far as obligatory love interests go, she's not bad, and she doesn't seem any more shoehorned in. That this is the closest I can get to a compliment, I suppose. She doesn't seem any more shoehorned in than any other. Like, we have to have a girl character in an action movie like this. But I mean, like, a princess is a thing that you just kind of gotta have in a Mario movie. So like I don't know. I mean like I don't think they made her too terribly just like damsel in distress.
Oh yeah, she was proactive and kind of a go-getter at least.
Again, I'm surprised that's one of the things they got right. That's so weird.
Apparently, Luigi is a Taoist. He practices Taoism.
Oh, we gotta get Super Mario Brothers in there somewhere, Dan.
Oh,
They're gonna get lots of business after this. Also, they really ripped off Back to the Future with this ending. Where somebody shows up and even the score there sounds a lot like that. Like somebody, wow, sorry Roxette, you probably didn't sell any albums.
She made
this
that
movie.
deal, like signed the contract. She's like, yeah, this is a done deal. I'm in the Mario movie.
This is gonna be just like Prince and Batman. Yeah, here we go.
Toad was played by Mojo Nixon.
Mojo Nixon. He's not a crook either, Dan. And you look at Goomba 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 Goomba. Can we at least number them? None. Like,
reporter number 1. That's the role I auditioned for.
we didn't go reporter or a Japanese businessman. Like, why are we like none? Goomba 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 Goomba.
This song isn't very good, is it?
I'm really rocking out to it. Yeah. like with a, I don't know. Why couldn't we have ended this also with Everybody Walk the Dinosaur? Because this movie was so incredibly goofy that you should really leave it on an upbeat, absurd, ridiculous note and not try to sell a pop song with it, right? Like, we really should be walking out of this movie going, everybody walk that dinosaur, and then leave going, let's never do that again, Like, that's what you should feel like at the end of That's how I feel.
This movie should have ended with a cool remix version of the Mario Brothers theme song. That's what I would have wanted.
See, that would almost make it worse because it's like we have to pretend like this is actually a movie that had much Mario stuff in it.
That's true. Like, have you ever played the Dance Dance Revolution Mario game?
Yeah.
And all of the cool remixes of the themes in that game? Like, one of those at the end of this movie would have been great.
I am man enough to admit that I have played that game.
Hey, me too. I played everything, Mario. Everything.
Well, Dan, I have to say, this was this felt to me like one of the longest and most drawn out commentaries we've ever done.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a whole lot to say about the movie itself because not really all that much was happening, character-wise or plot-wise, really.
I'm not saying I didn't have a good time doing it with you. It's just like you have different perceptions with different movies
Right.
doing them when you're talking with another person versus watching them by yourself. This one, oh boy, this was a slog for me.
I had fun though, and like I don't know,
Oh no, I did too.
this movie's entertaining enough where I can go back and rewatch it whenever. It's not one that I pop in often, but I've watched it like a few times by myself just for a good hoot and for the
I had
nostalgia.
yeah, that was one of my more enjoyable reviews to write. I enjoyed working on this one. Clearly, it wasn't entirely memorable because there were whole sections where I went, I had a point about that. There was a thing. Oh man, none.
I just had my mind blown when I was a kid realizing that this movie existed because obviously this came out 2 days before I was born, so I didn't realize it existed for quite a long time. Nintendo tried to bury this and didn't talk about it much afterwards.
Yeah, fair. Well, fair enough.
Yeah.
I still don't agree with them that it hurt their bottom line in any way.
I think the perception was at the time, and even now to this day, they talk about it spoiling the brand to some degree. But I agree with you, like, it doesn't seem to have affected it all that much.
Wait a minute. Did they actually? Okay, so what they did with this is so they did put walking everybody walked the dinosaur in the credits, but they should have started the credits with. But anyway, so they actually made up some band called the Goombas apparently,
Oh.
and they went back and re-recorded this, and instead of the boom boom stuff at the beginning of the song, they changed it to goom goom. No,
Cool.
no,
Oh, that's
no,
awesome.
and then went all goomba goom. No.
No, I say yes to that. That's hysterical. Produced and
Oh man.
distributed on Eastman Film. Maybe Kevin Eastman was involved in this. Who
But Dan,
knows?
I don't think he has a film guy. But Dan, they ruined this beautiful artistic piece.
Cool,
It's
cool.
like you spin me right round, baby, right round. It's
There's a post-credit sequence
there's
in
a
this
post credit
movie?
scene. Yep,
I never knew this.
yep.
Wow, I've never seen that post-credit scene before.
Yeah, it's just them pitching a video game. And you know what's really interesting about that? There was a similar scene in the Ninja Turtles movie that was cut.
Oh.
Where April, um, I forget what exactly happens in it, but it's something about wouldn't Ninja Turtles make a great comic book or a great movie or something, and it's the exact same scene
So is this the
or same
first
kind of premise.
is this the first quote-unquote superhero movie with a post-credit sequence?
Um, it depends on what you count as superhero movies because I know there's one, or at least if memory serves, and it's been a good long time since I've seen it, and I promise people that I'll eventually do a rewind on it. But there is one at the end of Masters of the Universe,
Oh.
the He-Man movie,
Oh.
and if that counts as a superhero, then that predates this by quite a bit. I can't think of any other ones right off. I know none of the Superman movies do it. I'm trying to think if none of the Batman movies do it. I can't think of anything else. Yeah, but again, like most people don't consider this a superhero movie.
Right.
Um, I was able to make the case enough to do a rewind on it, but even I say it barely even remotely sort of even it doesn't really count that much. Yeah. So anyway, well, hey everybody, thanks as always for listening. Sure hope you enjoyed it. This was quite an interesting experience. I'm glad we did this. Dan and I will be back with you again soon with another commentary, I'm sure. Dan and I are going to, at some point, start in on the Star Wars prequels, so look forward to that. Also, as I said, down the line, we'll have a Spawn commentary after Spawn year is finished. Thanks for listening. We sure appreciate it. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Dan.